everyone, welcome back to Now Divas. So here is the situation. I have got SQL or SQL Server Express installed. I have created a discovery user, but the ServiceNow just won't discover my database. Sound familiar? Today, I'm going to show you the exact problems that waste hours of troubleshooting and exactly how to fix them. We will get to your SQL Server discovered in ServiceNow in next 15 minutes. Let's dive right in. Okay, so I have SQL Server Express running here on my Windows system. Let me show you the problem that drives everyone crazy. So I have a user called SN_discovery that I created for ServiceNow. The user exists and I know the password, but watch what happens when I try to connect. See that? Login failed for user SN_discovery. This is so frustrating. The user exists, the password is correct, but it won't connect. Let me show you why this is happening. This is the number one issue that wastes hours. This has happened to me, and that's why I'm recording this video for the people out there. Now, let's connect as an admin. I'm going to open a new command prompt. Before I do that, let me go to the C drive and I am connected as an admin. Let's check the authentication mode. So there it is. Windows only, the problem. This is the problem. SQL Server Express defaults to Windows authentication only. So it's literally rejecting all SQL login attempts, no matter if the user exists or not. So this setting right here wastes more time than anything else in the database discovery. Let me fix it. So here is how we will fix this. We need to enable mixed mode authentication. That means both Windows and SQL servers can connect. Watch this. So that command changes the registry setting for SQL Server. Now, and this is critical, we must restart the SQL Server for this to work. And you can see I have already executed it and it takes like one row affected. Okay, it stopped. And let me start the SQL Server. Okay, great. Now let's verify the fix worked. I'm going to test. We are going to test it again, and that worked. So let me go ahead and run this. Perfect. The mixed mode is enabled. Now let's test if our SQL Server can connect. That's perfect. And if you remember, starting at at the beginning, you saw that it threw an error stating that login failed. Right now, it worked. So the username and the password is working because of mixed mode. So let me just verify the user can see the database now by running the command. Okay, perfect and beautiful. We can see all the databases. SQL Server is now ready for ServiceNow Discovery. And the next part, what I'm going to talk about is an optional one. If you do not have a Discovery user yet, let me quickly show you how to create one. If you already have one, skip ahead. So right now, connect as an admin and go ahead and run these commands. So these are the commands which you needed for creating the user. So let me just remove the one here. I'm going to paste this command in the description box below, and you can go ahead and run the same command and you can create your own user. I have already created this user called SN_discovery. So I'm not going to run this command again, but you can go ahead and run this complete SQL statement. I'm sorry, I'm telling commands. So you can run all the SQL statements or on a command prompt and a new user would be created. So in your case, you can create any other user like SN_discovery1 or 2, 3 based on your requirement. I'm not going to do this at the moment. So, and these are the minimum permissions ServiceNow needs to discover your database. So never use SA or admin accounts, which means service accounts or admin accounts for discovery. So, okay, that's it. So our setup from the Windows Server is done. Now let's jump to ServiceNow. So, but before we create any credentials, there is something super important that most people miss. We need to check if the discovery patterns are installed. Without this, the discovery will run but completely ignore the SQL server. So I believe you all know where to go ahead and check if the patterns are installed. And I believe if you're already using the discovery service mapping, and then you all know that you would have already installed the discovery pattern. So it's a simple one. Just go ahead and, okay. Let's come here to the install. And if your pattern needs to be updated, please go ahead and update it. So it's always recommended and also best practice to keep all your applications and plugins up to date. So this is my PDI instance. I will have to update this. I will do it after the recording. So as you can see, it is installed. The update is available. Perfect. So let's come here to the discovery pattern and let's quickly check for MySQL. Okay. Not this one. I'm sorry. Okay. I forgot the name of the pattern, but I can do one thing. I can go to classification and then just check classifiers. I'm really bad at the spelling. So let's come here to the Windows. My Windows system is actually 2022 data center. Let's check if that pattern is actually added. The OS pattern, trigger probes. Okay, perfect. So we have everything here, the ADM enhanced, and which is nothing but the advanced dependency mapping and also the install software. I'm really not sure if many of you know this or not, but I just want to tell one thing here. So what does the discovery do? So discovery pulls in or discovers your CIs, and along with the CIs, it will also try to look out or try to populate the running processes on the devices and also install softwares. So all this happens during the exploration phase, and this particular horizontal pattern is required for identification. So this makes sure that whether your CI needs to be updated or created. So make sure that for the Windows classification or any other classification, you have required probes and patterns associated to it. If any of this exploration probe is inactive or it's not there, then those phases would be ignored. So in our case, Windows OS Server is actually installed. So, and this depends on the application dependency mapping. So in case if it sees like any other, if it sees MS SQL server or services is running, then it knows that it needs to trigger MS SQL pattern. I will show you guys which one it will be triggered. Let me just go to my discovery status. Okay, so as you can see, the pattern name is MS SQL database on Windows. This is the pattern which will be triggered based on the application dependency mapping. It will run a netstat command to see the active services running on the systems, both listening and connecting. And if it sees that an MS SQL database is running on that particular device, then it will go ahead and run this command only if there is a match. If there is a process classifier matched, found, then the particular pattern would be triggered. I will show you guys more, and let me just show you guys before I discover the devices. I want to show you guys the one I was talking about, the running processes, the MS SQL services. I'm opening the record. So let's come here running processes, and you can see there are a lot of running processes running, and I am just going to, sorry, I will do one thing. I'll come here to the process ID. Let's search with this, and you can see the command here. This is the process what I was talking about, the SQL Server.exe, and you can see that it is listening on 1433. So this is very important. So when the discovery, after the identification phase, it will trigger the application dependency mapping, and it will check for the running processes. So it will see that SQL Server.exe, the discovery assumes that this is the MySQL running on this particular device, and it will go ahead and trigger that pattern, either to create the CI or to update the CI. So in order to do that, a pattern should be associated to it. So let me just show you one more thing, how this works. Let me come here to the patterns. Where is that? I'll come here to the process classifier. I think this is the one, classification, and this is the one. This is the processes. And I think, okay, let me just do this. MySQL. Okay, you can see this is the pattern. Sorry, this is the process classifier. And these are the out of the box one. Please never change it. And I would advise you not to change anything to the out of the box one. If you guys do it, then you would be missing out the major updates in the following family upgrade or in the patches. So these are the condition which needs to be met for the pattern to be triggered. And you can see there is a pattern called MySQL Server on Windows and Linux, but ours is something else, I believe. Ours is the MS SQL DB on Windows. Okay, let me just try to open this. Let me go to the process classifier, and you can find all these informations in the product documentation, and also you can enroll to discovery fundamentals, and the fundamentals talks about this process classifier. So having this knowledge is very important to understand how the discovery functions, and also the service mapping. So the majority of these process classifier and the CIs and the patterns are very important for service mapping. So let me check now. I cannot do it. So what was that? It's a MySQL, and let me come here. The command you can see is SQL Server.exe. Let me come here, and okay, we can do one more thing, and let me go ahead and click here, and you can see that before even I started recording this session, I had triggered the discovery schedule, and I had got no MS SQL databases written from the WMI query, and it was failing. So we will be talking about it as well. And you can see there is a pattern launched, which is this for the CI type SQL instance, and I'm coming here and I'm going to give that, and you can see this is the process classifier. And let's try to open this record, and you can see the command should contain SQL Server. So in the exploration phase, the ServiceNow discovers that this particular device or any Windows device has a services called SQL Server running, and it will come to this process classifier, and it will go ahead and try to match the process classifier based on the condition. This is just like the Windows classification or the Linux classifications, the other classification, but this is for the application CIs or the process classification. So if it match, and it will come here to trigger probes, and there is also condition a script where the type is it should be a Windows, then it will go ahead and trigger this MS SQL database on Windows, and this is responsible for either populating the the CMDB. It is responsible for populating the CMDB be, whether it is an update or creation of a new CI. So I think you have understood the basic concept of the process classifier and how it works in the during the last phase. Now let's proceed with the setup yet. And so you remember whatever the user you had created on the SQL on your SQL Windows device, or wherever the SQL services was running on your Windows. So that particular credential is most important for the pattern to succeed. So I have already created the credentials here, but I am going to show you guys where you can come and create the credentials. And this is the credentials which I have created, which is the Home Labs SQL Server app. And this is an applicative credentials, and you can type your username and the password and the CI type as a SQL Server. I think this is incorrect, I believe, because it was creating the database. I'll just do one thing. Sorry, this is the CI type. Just go ahead and update it. I think that might be the issue why it was throwing an error. But in case if you want to know, just come here to click on new, and please click on the applicative credentials and give a name, and applies to all mid servers or to a specific mid servers, and the same username and the password from which you had used for creating an account on the SQL, and create the CI type. And the CI type should match with your pattern CI type. So if you have a doubt, then you can go to the process classifier and you can go ahead and confirm the pattern. So since our credential is already set up, let's quickly go ahead and trigger the discovery. And before even I trigger the quick discovery, I just want to talk about a few things, the prerequisites which are required for discovering the database. So, okay. And also, yeah, I forgot to mention that there is an application or a plugin called Visibility Content, and you need a version 6.12.1 or higher. And you need to check on the mid servers too, that your mid servers is up and running. So let's quickly come back to the mid servers to confirm that. Let me go to my mid server, and all these informations are already available on the product documentation, as I mentioned earlier. So please, before you start to discover any new devices type, just go to the product documentation and go through it completely. And you can see the status is up and the version is Zurich and it is validated. So everything is fine right now, and the credentials are set up and everything is up. So let's go ahead and discover the device, and let me see if I face the same message again. So I'm coming here to discovery schedule, the quick discovery, and this is the IP address where my SQL Server is actually running. And this is the moment of the truth. So, oh, it says active. Okay, that's great. Sorry, I thought it's completed. Okay, perfect. And you can check the ECC. So it has been classified as a WMI based on the port. So I believe you all know what's the port number for the WMI, SNMP, and the SSH. And if you want to know what are the port information, what it responded back to the mid server, you can go to the input queue, and you can just open the XML file, and you can search here, go to the do the control F. Okay, sometimes my system doesn't even work. So in this case, you can see the WMI and the port number is 135, and UDP is with SNMP is actually 161. The SSH is 22. So since the WMI port was open, the ServiceNow thought that it is a Windows devices and launched the the Windows classifier 2022 and the whatever the username which was provided for the Windows, the host discovery that was successful, and because of which the pattern has been launched. So the identification phase is actually running. If you want to know what is the current phase, then you can come here to the devices and you can see the current activity is being identifying. It's trying to identify the device, the CI, whether it is existing in the CMDB or it's a new record. And after the identification phase, it will go ahead and launch the exploration phase. Remember the exploration probes, what I'm talked about, the ADM, which is nothing but application dependency, and also the software install. And let me refresh this page. I wanted to talk about the ADM as well. Let's give some time for the discovery to launch the exploration phase. Let me refresh it. It's still active. And let's check the device. It's still identifying. The pattern is being triggered, or sorry, it's still running. Let's give it a couple of minutes. And also, I wanted to talk about the related links called show discovery performance related links. So when you click on it, it will show you how your, it shows the performance. So it's nothing is being shown here. Let's refresh the page once this discovery is completed. And we already know that our SQL Server, the SQL services is already running and everything is perfect. So, and let's talk about the troubleshooting quick tips until this finishes. So, here are a few troubleshooting checklists which you can perform. So the first thing is, did the credential test pass? So you need to run all these credentials on the target machines. You can take a help from your IT infrastructure team, or if you have access to the target devices, then you can just go ahead and run the credential test. The one I did it during at the beginning. Sorry, if the credential test did not pass, then check if it is is it a mixed mode authentication or a Windows mode authentication? And the second is the MS SQL pattern in the ECC queue. Do you see it? Do you see the pattern or the probes or anything? So do you see it? If not, then go ahead and check your WMI classifier and check out for any access denied errors. Those are the WMI permissions. And also if it says like the SQL server not found, then check the port 1433 and the firewall. And the ECC queue is your best friend for troubleshooting. Always check here first. The one I am showing here. It's still active. Okay. Yes. And you can see the pattern has been launched here, the MS SQL DB on the Windows pattern. And also you can see the application dependency mapping, the one I spoke about, and also the installed software. And I let me open this application dependency input ECC report or the results, and you can see there are a lot of ports or these are and also says like connecting, I believe. So yeah, this is where it decides whether this is a known process running, or if you have a process classifier defined, and if there are any pattern associated to it. And if the pattern is associated to it, then that will be triggered during the exploration phase. So let's come back here, and it says as completed. Fingers crossed, I shouldn't be seeing that message. The one when I saw the one I saw during before my recording. So as you can see, there is a message stating that please check CMDB, CMDB CI, MS SQL, the instance credentials, and run a discovery. So it says there is a problem with the credential, but it did work, and you can see there's nothing in here. Basically, the pattern is actually failed. Let me just go ahead and let's debug the pattern here. Let's open the record and you can see the steps here and let's come here. The green means it's successful and yellow means it's failed. So it is trying to run this command and login failed. The login is from an untrusted domain, cannot be used with the integrated authentications. And here also check the connections. Yeah, and there's a graceful termination. It says like, please check the credentials and run again. But I remember my credentials were correct because it worked on my machine. So let's refresh this page also to give you a glance, and you can see how much time the probe how much the probe took, the sensor took, the EIRE. So this gives you a brief overview, and this will be useful for handling the performance issue. So I am going to troubleshoot this message here, the credentials. So let me just go ahead and check the credentials here. And after troubleshooting this, I will come back to you guys. But you can see the credential affinity has been created, and this is the so-and-so, and it was last successful. But this is strange because when I discovered this device, like maybe a month ago, it was successful, but it is throwing in a message like, please check the CMDB CIDB underscore MSSQL instance credentials and run again. So the identification phase actually failed. So what we are going to do is we are going to debug this pattern. So with all the information we have got, and I love it. So this particular session is going to talk about both debugging the discovery pattern. I was thinking to create another video, but this is perfect. So let me go ahead and open this pattern. Honestly, there are a lot of patterns and I get confused. Okay, starts with this is the one. And I believe you all know how to debug the pattern. And if you do not know, go to the discovery pattern module and select your desired pattern and just click on it, wait for a few minutes for it to launch. And once it is, then you need to open the identification steps and go ahead and debug the pattern. Okay, so you can see the number of identification section here, and these are the out of the box one. I would suggest to you not to modify anything on the identification section. If you want to modify or populate any other information, or you want to do anything else, I would suggest you to use the extension section, and you can create a new and then you can proceed with it. And these are some of the best practices to keep in mind while you are trying to modify the out of the box pattern. So I'm going to just click on the first one, the identification one. I have clicked on it, and let's go ahead and debug the pattern. So for this, you need to select the mid server. In this case, we have only one mid server and the same IP and the process ID. So where is that? And what is the process ID? 5364. Oops, I've opened too many windows and that's confusing. That's what happens most of the time. Okay, I'm just going to click on connect. And as you all know, pattern is a series of steps which are used for identifying the CIs or the applications. So if you want to know more about it, please go through the product documentation and also enroll to ServiceNow Discovery Fundamentals course. And I was thinking to record the session for 20 minutes, and I could see the timer is running and it is like 36 minutes. Wow. So what you can do is after debugging and you can see it has populated all the temporary variables. I'm not going to talk about all these things. So let's see where our step or where our discovery failed. For that, let's come here and you can see the MS SQL Server. All the steps were successful. All this were successful. And this is where, okay, you can see no SQL pattern. And this is at the identification. And also there is a one more step and which is 37.18. Let's come here and let me test it. So everything is perfect. 37.88. Okay, this is where it failed. Let's try to debug it. So it's running all the previous steps. Okay, so this is the step. It is trying to parse the command output and everything. This is the SQL command. I want to check something. There's no domain. The domain is global. So I am going to troubleshoot this issue. And after that, I will continue the recording and also I will tell you guys what went wrong. So after troubleshooting the issue, so I fixed it. So let me show you exactly what fixed this issue. So after hours of troubleshooting, authentication, WMI permissions, and everything else, the real problem was much simpler. So I have already opened the SQL Server management configuration. So let me go to, okay, sorry. Let me go to SQL Server network configuration and let me go ahead and click on the the previous one, which is the protocols for SQL Express, and let me open the TCP IP. And you can see this protocol was, I think it was disabled. Yeah. Okay, so it was listening to dynamic, I think. So it was listening to a dynamic port, and I had to change everything. I had to manually give in the TCP port as 1433, and also I enabled the IP all. Yeah, I enabled the IP all, and I added a TCP port here as 1443 and removed the TCP dynamic ports. So there was something previously it was 0. I still remember I did this fix. I mean, I applied this fix last Saturday, so it is still working. So I had to clear out the TCP dynamic ports, and I gave the TCP port as a 1433. So before I made this change, the TCP dynamic ports add a random port number, as I mentioned, and also the TCP port was blank. The SQL Server Express was listening on a dynamic port, not 1433, where the ServiceNow expected it. So now, and now when I check with the netstat, let me just check that. So as you can see, the netstat result, the TCP port is now set to 1433, and it says as listening. So this simple configuration change is what fixed everything. So, and here is the proof. Our SQL Server instance is now fully discovered. So in order to test this, so let's go to our discovery schedule, and then let's go ahead and test it out. And also I have created another credential as well. Let me show you that it's a JDBC credential. I wanted to use the JDBC for the successful discovery, and that also helped. I am coming back to this credentials, and let me show you the JDBC. Where is that? Yeah, this is the one. I created the JDBC credentials, and I have given the type is actually JDBC credentials, and I have given a name, and I'm using the same username and password which I had used it previously for setting up the SQL. So I'm going to test the credential here, and this is the port. Well, right now it's listening to 1433, and we know that it is MS SQL and the database name is master. Let's go ahead and test it if the connection works. As you can see, the credential validated, and this indicates that our discovery is going to be successful. But let's check it out. So let me come to discovery schedule. Let me click on to quick discovery, and that's the target IP. And I have clicked on OK, and I'm going to open this record and let me refresh this. And this discovery takes a while for it to complete. And I will show you why did I use the JDBC connections as well. Once the pattern gets triggered, I will show you guys. And I have created a detailed document about this discovery, and I have uploaded it on the ServiceNow community, and I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. Please feel free to check it out. And here are a few key takeaways, the one I learned during this setup. So the critical lesson for anyone discovering SQL Server Express. Our SQL Server Express does not default to a port 1433 like a standard or enterprise edition. It uses the dynamic ports. So ServiceNow discovery patterns expect SQL Server on 1433. So this mismatch causes discovery to fail even when everything else is configured correctly. Always check your port configuration first before diving into complex troubleshooting. So I'm going to refresh the screen and I'm going to give it a few minutes, and already the host pattern has already been launched. And also, if you find this video helpful, please like this video, subscribe to Now Divas for more ServiceNow content, and share it with your colleagues who might face similar issues, and check out the knowledge article for the complete written guide. And also drop your SQL Server discovery challenges in the comment, and I read every one and will help wherever I can. Okay, so it's still running, and if you want to see the current phase, you can see it's in the identifying phase. So it just completed the classification phase, and it classified as a Windows classifier or the Windows server. I think this is a 2022 Windows data center server, and the particular probe associated to that data center classifier was triggered, and right now it is at the identification. So as you all know, at the identification phase, it will check either CI exists or a new CI needs to be created. So as we all know, discovery is a pattern based, and it has got a series of steps which gets executed one by one until any step fails. So if any step fails, then the entire pattern execution will be stopped, and the discovery scan state gets changed to completed, and the scan is unsuccessful. That means it was unsuccessful. So let's check. It is still running. It is still executing that pattern. And also, if the pattern is successful and it identified the CI, and for example, the CI already exists in the CMDB CI, then it will go ahead and update that record based on the key identifiers, whatever you have mentioned on the CMDB class manager, like serial number type, the MAC address, and the name. So, and all these informations are actually covered on the discovery basic, the fundamental class or the fundamental course, and also the product documentation talks about it. You can go ahead and check that out. And also the next phase is the exploration phase, where the application dependency mapping and also the installed software probes are triggered, and whatever the response the mid server brings it back, there is a sensor which parses the information. And if there is a process classifier for that particular process running, for example, in our MS SQL, then if it finds a match, then a pattern gets triggered. And in our case, the what pattern should be triggered is the MS SQL DB on a Windows pattern will get triggered. There are a lot of identification steps available, and I'm going to duplicate this window. I'm going to show you guys. And the same process happens. The identification takes place, and it will try to check if there is a CI exist on the CMDB, or if it is a new record. So this is what happens during the exploration phase, and it tries to update the record, and it creates a relationship from the host CI to the application CI or the process CI. So the one I was talking about is MS SQL. So it's MS. Sorry, I think it's incorrect. Yeah, MS SQL database. I feel like I'm repeating most of the information here. Yeah, okay, let it load, and I'm going to come back to the discovery schedule, and it is still stuck at the face. Okay, I am sharing. Sorry, I'm opening the pattern, so it's all taking a while. Okay, let it load. No problem. So the pattern designer is open, and I was talking about the identification phase. You can see there are four, but I think the third one is inactive. So it is going to identify that MS SQL as per by executing the first identification steps. And if it is successful, then a particular it will go ahead and match with a key. Sorry, for the process classifier, it is going to use the running processes. And also, I think the CMDB running process, and there is a one more. I don't recall it right now. And if there is an entry found, then it will update it, or else it will create a new CI. And the second one, it will use the TCP with the port, and whatever the port, whatever we have set up right now, that will be used for identifying our MS. And for this thing, for in order to succeed, I have created a JDBC credential type. I'm really not sure if it is required, but to be on a safer side, I have created it, and you can try it by not creating that credential type, or else you can directly go ahead and trigger the discovery. So if it fails, then please go ahead and use the credential type. And I can show you guys the discovery status, the one I ran before 8 minutes. But I can open that record. I can show you where the discovery schedule was actually active. So it's running for 8 minutes. That's crazy. I don't know why, but I'll be looking into it later. And let me scroll down, and you can see this discovery was successful. And if you come here, this particular pattern was launched, and I'm going to click on here. I'm going to tell you which step was successful and which wasn't. And in our case, the identification of MS SQL Server step was successful, and it went ahead and created the CI, and all the informations are there available here. So which is most important thing. Our pattern actually ran successfully. So I'm going to close this record right now, and I am going to show you the record, whatever was open and was created. I'm sorry. So I'm going to go to the CMDB CI. I'm going to show you the relationship. From there, we can open the record. So this is the CMDB host CI, and you can see it has created a relationship called MFT SQL instances, and this is the SQL database, and you can see that a record has been created and a relationship has been created, and it contains all the database instances name and where it runs on, all the tracked configuration file. So, and that's it. Thank you for watching. And in the next video, we will tackle the Oracle database discovery on Linux. Until then, happy discovering. And this is Nav Divas signing off. Take care. Be safe.